Okay, welcome to Build Website That Work Everywhere. I'm Doris Chen. I'm a developer evangelist at Microsoft. And basically, I'm a web person. I've been working on web since Ajax and all those things. This is my email. And you could also reach me on Twitter, @DorisTChan. Notice there's a T there, because somebody complained I never reply because they missed the T there, Doris T-Chan. Okay, so this is originally almost an hour kind of talk, but now I have about 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to actually sort of like condense it into a few key points. First of all, let me share with you some of the new tools you could use to test your web interoperability. And then we're going to get into some of the things you need to watch out for CSS, feature detection. And then I'm going to actually share with you a real website. Let's sort of like debug into it to see if we could make it better. Sounds good? All right. Okay, first of all, cross-browser testing. This is the first thing, because if you want to make sure your app runs on different browsers, you probably need some tools to get started with to understand where you are. Now, before I get into too detail, people probably have some questions about the Microsoft Edge, just released last November. And you're probably wondering, is Edge just like another IE or what? So I'd like to use this diagram to give you some idea. If you look at this diagram, normally people say the behavior for the Chrome and Safari kind of similar, and then Firefox are more similar to IE. So now with the Microsoft Edge, say, by the way, this is a new logo for Edge, we want to reduce all the difference, which is basically all the special thing in IE. We want to actually remove that as much as possible. And we want to actually increase the interoperability part with Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. So in another word, Edge is designed to be much more compatible with all the other major browsers. And all the IE proprietary stuff, we will try to remove as much as possible. Does that sound good? All right, so it would be a lot easier to work on interoperability, obviously. So based on that, I'd like to share with you some of the tools which I think you might be interested in. There is a tool, okay, first of all the tools I'm talking about here, up to the first 4 tools, all free tools. The first one is called SiteScan. Basically, it is a site, you could enter your URL, and then they would tell you 6 or 7 different category of things, and we could take a quick look in more detail. And it's available on this URL. It's a free tool. It's very useful for you to get started with to check your interoperability. The other one is browser screenshots. This one will provide you a common set of browser for different platform, different OS, as well as for different browsers. So you could take a look what your app will look like in those browsers. Windows Virtual Machine, this is really for people running on Mac and Linux, because I see a lot of people using Mac and Linux here. But if you want to test Microsoft Edge, or you want to test IE, different version, so you will be able to get a free binary image of your choice. So if you want to do Edge, you download Edge. And if you want to do IE 6 to 11, you could download any other version. And then, but you do need some other, like a VirtualBox, Para, those things to help you to install. But it's a free binary image you could install. Now, the other things people mostly, and again, it's free. And another thing that people just say, I don't want to, I just want to test something, right? I don't want to really install another image onto my machine. So what you could do is there's another tool called Remote, especially if you want to test Edge or IE on your Android, Mac or Linux, you could use that. It's like a utility, a client program. So you could actually invoke that to test on Edge or a different version of IE. So this is also something you don't have to install a binary onto your machine. Okay, all the top 4 tools are absolutely free. You could access all the URL, take a quick look. The other tools, which is kind of commonly used, is called a browser stack. It is a paid service. So if you are willing to pay something, it's also very useful. You could actually access for different virtual machines, different browsers, and it's really easy to use. So this is the testing tool I'm talking about, the side scan. So I use the weather.com as a guinea pig. After I run that, it will tell you different category. For example, it is fine with all the markup, with all the legacy plugin, like Fresh, PDF, all those things. But it has some problem with frameworks, the library. For example, it's using an old version of Modernizer library. So the site basically suggests you could update it to the most compatible one. So you could use install the latest version. The other one, which I may not have time to talk about, is this particular site is still using browser detection, which is absolutely not a good way to check. What you should do is using feature detection. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail later on. And also give you some problem with the CSS prefix. How many of you actually use CSS prefix in your code? Okay, some of you. So basically, this tool will show you. It will list all the CSS feature. Some of them did not take care of all the prefix carefully or properly. So we'll list the problems so that if you fix those problems, then you could actually pass that test. Ideally, you should pass all the 6 tests here, so that means your site will be more compatible across all browsers. Okay, so this is basically the side scan, and all the other tools is also available when we talk about virtual machine, remote, browser screenshots, and all the tools are available here, so you could take a quick look from this site. Okay, so let's actually talk about CSS prefix. All right, so we all know a lot of times when we talk about CSS3, right? It is, let's try this. And it is, okay, this is better. It is probably, not final, right? So one of the best practice is for you to observe is you always have to put like for example, transform. This is one of the CSS feature. And then you should always keep what's supposed to be the final version called a transform. And then at the same time, you want to put all the prefix to support the other browsers so that the browser will know, oh, this is more like a transform implementation specific for MS, right? Oh, this is Mozilla, this is Opera, this is WebKit, which is basically for Chrome and Safari. So this would be a good way so the other browsers will know there would be some implementation detail, there would be some difference, but hey, I could support them pretty okay because I have my own implementation. Now, you probably feel it's really tedious, right? Just do one transform. You have to put all the full prefix, right? So what would be a better way to do is you could actually look into a tool. This is a problem again. Look into the tool. There is actually it's pretty straightforward. You could use auto prefixer. I use it a lot, and I'll show you just a minute what it looks like. And it's very useful to, and a very easy online tool to use. It's from GitHub, and it's actually, you could actually, what I usually do is use auto prefixer with a grunt into your script, so that when you actually build those files, you have that, you take care of that. You don't have to do a manual one. The other one is similar, called prefix free. It's also an online kind of tool. You could use that to generate all the necessary prefix for you. So this is what auto prefixer will look like. So if you enter any of the CSS feature, you will actually see, you don't have to worry about a prefix, right? You just put a transition, put a user select, and when it's generated, this tool will depend on what browser or what device you have, it will actually generate all the prefix for you. So basically, if you do, kind of CSS, you could do copy and paste this part into your code, so you don't have to worry about all the prefix. Okay, so this is all good. Next, what I will try to talk about is the browser detection versus a feature detection. Okay, does everybody understand why we should not use browser detection? The reason is there are over 100 browsers all over the world. And it is really a tough job for any testing team or any test engineer to watch out all over 100 browsers and set up the right code for that browser. And then, plus, we will have new browser all the time. We will have different version, right? We will have different device. So it's almost impossible to support this kind of browser detection. Instead, we should always use feature detection. feature detection is much more easier to do, because why? It's basically determining a particular HTML5 feature, or a method, or a particular library. It would basically say either this browser supported or not supported. If it's supported, then I do this. If it's not supported, then I do something else, right? So for every feature, it would be so much easier to test and to really implement all the logic across all the browsers. So feature detection is a way to do. Now, who is a friend? Modernizer. How many of you heard about a modernizer? Okay, modernizer is really your friend. In my opinion, this is probably the best way to do the feature detection. Especially currently, the modernizer, you don't have to actually download a full library. You could customize, depends on how many features you use, right? You could actually pick, like say WebGL. I'm using, say, some of the new feature inside of that. And I build a library just to check those features. Right? So your library to start with is very small. You don't have to worry about it. It's too big to get loaded. And the plus, say for example, if I pick WebGL, if that particular browser is kind of old browser, it doesn't support WebGL. Modernizer also provides a few old library we call polyfills. Basically try to mimic the WebGL behavior in your browser. So you could actually using those polyfill libraries into your code to support all the old libraries. So with that, it doesn't matter, different browser, different OS, or even old browser, you could use feature detection to implement all your logic to make your app runs across all browsers. How easy it is? Very easy. Syntax-wise, if you use a modernizer, if you want to check a font size, font face, just do this, modernizer.fontface. That's it. And then if it's supported, do something. If it's not supported, do something else. Right? This is very, very simple syntax to go with. Now, I'd like to actually share with you a quick demo, which is it's a piece of code. I use Modernizer to run it for different browser. So the logic here is I'm checking the HTML5 canvas as well as the audio. So basically, it says if this browser supports canvas and HTML5 audio, it do one thing. If it's not, then it do something else. All right, so let's actually take a quick look. And I could run it. This is running in the Edge. Edge is the most updated modern browser, so it has no problem running that. That's good. And let's actually try it, say, in Chrome, right? So Chrome is fine. Chrome is supporting all the canvas as well as the audio, right? That's good. All right, let's try on IE. Let's see. This is the IE, and when I do this, it goes to IE 11. So IE 11 does support all the HTML5 feature, canvas, and audio, so that's good. But then one thing I want to show you is, this is 11. So I want to actually show you how does it run on an older browser, say 7. This gets into a little issue here, isn't it? So because IE7 does not support any standard the canvas or the audio, so it doesn't have that. So when I implement hamster dancing, right? So this is basically logic, and you could actually use different code to support different browser based on the feature. All right, so this will just show you if the feature supported canvas dancing. If the feature is not supported, hamster dancing. All right, so that's just for the illustration. Of course, in real life, you should not just use a hamster dancing. People won't be happy about that. Okay, let's actually put it back into the default. All right. Okay, so let's actually continue just a little bit. Okay, let's talk about a fallback and polyfills. I just talked about a feature detection for you to test on different browsers, but what if I have some old browsers which does not support that feature, right? This is a time normally you should use polyfill, some library to mimic the behavior of that feature, right? So let's actually talk one of the pretty common sort of like example. So this is a very simple piece. It just says, if I have HTML5 video, and I try to use HTML5 video, right, across all browsers, but what if that particular browser is an old browser. It does not support HTML5 video. Then I have to fall back into either using Flash, right, or Silverlight, right? So let's see, may not be, yeah, it's missing one tag here, sorry. So what you see here is inside the video tag, I put a very simple HTML5 video markup, right? Basically, give the source where the video is, give a poster, so that's for the better performance because you don't want to see a blank video at the beginning, you want some image there. Give the size, and then this particular video I set up to do autoplay, right? So it could play automatically. And then I have some control, so you could control fast forward, pause, and stop, and all those things, and play in loop. Now, basically, if the browser would determine that a particular video, right? If it says, oh, I support HTML5 video, it would do exactly as this what HTML5 video puts. But if that browser does not support HTML5 video, this is really cool about HTML5 because they actually give you what we call fallback. Then that browser will read all the code in the middle. So everything, if you see the tag, between the tag, the video tag, everything in the middle is actually will run by those browsers does not support that HTML5 video. It will run whatever code is there. So this way, it's so cool because then if it's a good browser, modern browser, it supports a new feature. If it's a non-modern browser, right, the old browser, it will still play as a Flash video. So that way, you could actually make sure your site will run across different browser and old browser. Now, let's actually look into a very quick example. I have one site, which I show you. It's my guinea pig today. It's a real site. It's a World Star with all the movie clips and all the videos. And the one thing what you see here is it says this video is not supported. That is because it's trying to run a Flash. And if you disable all the Flash, and you see the Chrome has the same behavior. If you disable the Flash plugin, because we don't want a plugin, right? We want a plugin free, then it doesn't really show anything. So how do we fix it? It's a real life site, right? So people say, I don't want you to break my site. It's running, right? But we have a good way of doing it, which is use Fiddler. How many of you actually heard about Fiddler? It's a very good way to capture the network traffic and also render the response. So let me show you how we're going to do it. So let's actually rerun this piece, all right, so that Fiddler will catch up all the data. And the important thing is finding where the Fiddler, the URL is. So this is the one. And I probably need to decode it so I could read it later. Adding up here so that I could actually adjust the response manually instead of using their code there. So go to the add response and take a look at the syntax view. The syntax view, you do need to install additional one on top of the Fiddler, otherwise it won't show. Okay, so one thing I could do is I change the title and put a big test in front of it and save it. Okay, it's just a test. And then I go back to my code. Okay, take a quick look here. Looks good. Tested it in front of that. That means I'm changing the right response onto this page. Okay, now next is finding the code, which is basically generate this piece of a video. Now, because I'm doing it so many times, I know where to look for. And then this is the div file. They put everything. And what you see is the problem here is they're checking, I don't know if you could see it, but they're checking basically the Flash. Their first choice is using JavaScript to display the Flash. If not, they try something else, right? So if you look at that, it's probably not a good way to use Flash as first choice. We should try to use HTML5 tag. We should try to use all the nice feedback. So I'm actually going to leverage some of the code, but get rid of some of the other code here. So let me actually get rid of some of the code here. And putting everything underneath here. So now, I actually, to save some time, I put my code there. So basically, I put a HTML5 video, and then I'm actually give the control, give the video file attached with that, and then also says if that particular browser doesn't support Flash, doesn't support HTML video tag, then I will run all the flash here. So this is basically my code, right? So let's copy and paste the whole thing into Fedora. All right, so make sure everything, okay, it looks like right. So let's save it. And now, let's run it again. You think it's gonna work? Wow, perfect. So the HTML5 video works, right? And then it works with Chrome as well. And one more thing I want to show here is it actually works with the IE, not just IE 11, but the older version as well. So let me actually give you, this is IE 11, right? So this is fine. This is with a support HTML5 video tag. Let's actually move into, you want to try 5 or 7 for IE? Doesn't matter. Okay, let's try 7. 7 does not support any HTML5 video, right? And the only thing it will support is pub refresh. Let's see if it's working. Let's just give a little time, because it takes a little longer. Okay, let's just let it run a little bit and then move on a little bit because I'm out of time. But basically, the idea here is it is working even with the old browser because this piece of code is supporting everything here, right? So it should be working. Here we go. So this is, again, this is This is a video tag. See here, it is working, and you see why? It's a fresh video. So this is, again, this is IE 7. This is IE 7. And obviously, we could change it back to IE 11, and then that way you could actually see it's an HTML5 video playing. Okay, so with that, and people worry about what if I want to go back, right? So all you do is quit, quit Fedora. And everything will go back to the original, which is not supporting fresh like this, right? So don't worry about it will screw up your live site. Use Fedora. You could edit the response and then make the site the way you want, and then later on move on to that. Okay, so wrap up. Sorry to take your extra time. Basically, it's a takeaway. So you should avoid browser detection, avoid agent sniffing, right? You should always use feature detection, use modernizer, and watch out your CSS prefix. And if it's possible, use the tools to generate all the prefix. And then watch out all the polyfills and implement a nice fallback way, like the video one, so that your site will run across all browsers. Thank you very much.